Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Courtney, and on this channel I've been documenting my weight loss slash health journey using the medications Mounjaro and Ozempic, and now currently back on Mounjaro, but soon to be on compounded tirzepatide. So yeah, I actually wanted to say, if you are returning, I am so glad that you are back. You guys have been so amazing to be sticking with me throughout this journey, and I just really appreciate it. So I know a few days ago I had done an update on having my telehealth visit with a clinic here in Texas, and basically discussing with the practitioner there that I've been on Mounjaro, I've been on Ozempic, I'm back on Mounjaro, and I'd like to stay on tirzepatide just because it's working so well for me. And so that is what was prescribed to me through a compounding pharmacy here in Texas. And unfortunately, it takes like 4 weeks for that to get in. So I have 2 pens left of Mounjaro, which I will be stretching out to cover to cover me until my compound comes in. So as of today is actually day 9 since I've taken my my last Mounjaro injection, which was the second one. So I have 2 more, and I'm still doing great as far as like appetite control and as far as cravings go and stuff. And full disclosure, yesterday I got up, I was super busy, I was cleaning my craft room, and then I had a whole bunch of like running around that I had to go do, and it was literally 4 o'clock before I realized I had not eaten anything during the day. Please don't come at me, please don't drag me. I know that's bad, but at that moment I was like, okay, I got to eat something. I ran and grabbed me some protein bars. So long story short, before I went to bed, I had my calories in for the day, and I had my protein in for the day. So I mean, it's not too far off of like how some people eat like the 1 meal a day, but they get their entire day's worth of calories in a meal. I can't do that. I was snacked, I had dinner, I had another snack before bed, I had some protein shake, stuff like that. So I just, I got my calories in. It was just, I had to do it from, it was like midnight when I finally went to bed. So from about 4:15 to about midnight, every hour or so I was having a little something, or every hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that, I was having a little something. I had dinner. I could not finish dinner. I put a whole lot more food on my plate than I realized I was going to eat, and so I ended up not finishing it, but I still ate enough. And yeah, so don't come at me. I still had my calories, I still had my protein, and I still got it in for the day. But I just didn't think about it. I wasn't hungry. So I mean, everything is still going great. So I'm really thinking that going 10 days is going to work well for me. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about that a little bit later, kind of like what my plans are and what that's going to look like with the compounding medicine and how long it's going to last. So, and there's some pretty exciting things too, like when you actually look at the numbers, it's pretty amazing. And yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit. But mainly on this video, I really wanted to talk about compounding pharmacies, because when I really started kind of looking and researching, doing the compound route, whenever I first started having problems with prior authorization, not getting approved, and then appeals and all that stuff getting denied, I was trying to quickly come up with like a plan B. So I started looking into compound pharmacies, but a lot of stuff that I found was negative, like from other healthcare professionals. A lot of the like healthcare people and like pharmaceutical people were talking about, oh, compound, you just don't know what you're getting, and it was just a whole lot of like negative feedback on compounding pharmacies. But then on the other hand, I was seeing people who are getting stuff from compound pharmacies, and they're loving it and they're doing great. Some people are having, I guess, I mean, there's all sorts of basically like reviews. Like some people are like, oh, it didn't work great. It didn't, this one didn't work great, or oh, I got it and it worked wonders, or I got it and it was so strong it made me. So it was just kind of all over the place. And so I really just kind of started looking because there's just so much that I've heard about compounding pharmacies that are just not true when I really started kind of looking into it. So on this video, I really wanted to kind of go over some of the myths and actual facts about compounding pharmacies. And then I kind of wanted to go a little bit more into like the nitty gritty of, how they're run and how they're regulated. And I actually had seen like a podcast / blog type thing the other day, and there was some doctors on this panel who were literally talking about this, and I basically kind of like wrote down some of the stuff that they said. They're like doctors and they're pharmacists, and it's kind of straight from the horse's mouth, like how it's really run and what's going on. So so we're going to discuss that. But I have some common like misconceptions about about the compounding pharmacies, and like these myths and actual facts. So I have papers, so just bear with me. Okay, so the first myth that I have heard is that pharmaceutical compounding is not legal. Come on. If it is not legal, do you honestly think that there would be that many compounding pharmacies out there? I mean, honestly, let's think about that. So the fact, okay, says pharmaceutical compounding is legal and is practiced by licensed pharmacists in licensed and legally registered pharmacies with a state board of pharmacy. Okay, so and like I said, I'm going to go a little bit more into the nitty gritty of some of this, but I just want to go over some of these myths. And another myth is pharmaceutical compounding is not regulated. Okay, I've heard that a whole lot, and that is just simply not true. The fact is, federal and state laws regulate all pharmacies, including compounding pharmacies. So pharmaceutical compounding is regulated by state boards of pharmacy, and the FDA supersedes the state board of pharmacy when deemed necessary. The new pharmaceutical compounding model, which is a 503B designation, it's also called outsourcing facility. It's regulated by FDA and follows CGMP guidelines. And I will put down here like what CGMP means. Okay, so I mean, there's regulations in place, federally and state. And like I said, I'm going to go into that a little bit more deeper here in just a few minutes. Myth, compounding medications are not FDA approved. Oh, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard this, and it's just, okay, let me just read what it says, because that is totally not true. The fact, compounding medications are made only with FDA approved active pharmaceutical ingredients procured from FDA registered and GMP regulated facilities. All of the active pharmaceutical ingredients have USP/NF monograph. I'll put down here what all that means. USP monographs for bulk drug substances and other ingredients provide standards for identity, quality, purity, strength, packaging, and labeling for bulk substances and other ingredients that may be used in compounding preparations. USP/NF standards deemed official by USP are enforceable by the FDA for medicines marketed in the United States. Another myth, compounded medications are not safe. Okay, the fact, compounded medications prepared in a professional and compliant compounding pharmacy are as safe as the FDA approved active pharmaceutical ingredients that they contain. Extra regulations are followed and safety measures are taken for sterile medications. Okay, so that right there is just something that is just such a turn off. It's like when, oh, you just don't know what you're getting, or oh, that's just not safe. People aren't just like sitting behind a grocery store cooking up these meds in like an RV and handing them out. Okay, they're regulated and they are real medications. Okay, let me move on. Okay, myth. Any pharmacy can prepare any kind of compounded medication. That is actually not true. Any pharmacy can prepare some compounding medications. Only dedicated, specialized, and compliant compounding pharmacies can appropriately prepare a wide range of compounding medications. Another myth is that compounded medications are very expensive. It's actually quite the opposite. It says compounded medications are a cost-effective treatment option that practitioners can offer patients as the commercial drug prices are skyrocketing lately and insurance companies are covering less and less. Let's not forget the added value is it's being customized. So I know previously I've actually had to use a compounding pharmacy to get medications for my pets. Pets are not, they're not easy to give medicines to sometimes. And compounding pharmacies actually get a lot of prescriptions from veterinarians as well to make medicines to give your pets like more palatable, like make them taste like chicken or beef or something like that. They also do the same thing with like kids medicines. Like some medicines, like, babies can't necessarily take pills, but if they have a very special circumstance or some type of like diagnosis or an illness where they need a special kind of medicine that it normally comes in like a pill, compounding pharmacies can actually create these medicines in like a liquid that has, like a cherry flavor or bubble gum or something like that. So it's easier to give to like kids or babies that way. So, but not all pharmacies do that, but special compounding pharmacies do. So, and compounding pharmacies have been around for a long time. I even remember when my kids, like my oldest is 20, okay, and I remember when he was little, he had horrible colic and horrible gas, and I had to go to a compounding pharmacy in the city next to where I lived. I lived in a very small town, but like 10 minutes up the road was like a little bit bigger town that had like 60,000 people, and there was a compounding pharmacy there that made a medicine called gripe water. It's supposed to be for like colicky babies. I'm sure a lot of you moms out there have probably heard of it. But this pharmacy actually made this gripe water and they sold it. I don't even think you needed a prescription for that, but you just couldn't get it everywhere. I couldn't go to, I think you can get it a lot of places more now, but back then, you could only get them at like compounding pharmacies. So anyway, so they've been around for a long time. Okay, so here's kind of like one of the last myths that I want to just kind of debunk. It's extra work and very complicated to prescribe compounded medication. The fact is, the prescribing process is almost the same as the prescribing of a commercial drug. Once you understand how to prescribe it, particularly if you use like eScribe, it's about the same. A good compounding pharmacist will always be there to help you at the beginning to answer any questions that you have about compounded medications. So I kind of, and I will put the link to this article down in the description. But I also, before I kind of get like into the nitty gritty of everything, I have another article which I will also link down in the description, just about some, common misconceptions about compounding. Because here's the deal. It's like so many people want to be able to have access to, to the Mounjaro or Ozempic, the tirzepatide, semaglutide, Wegovy, and like me, insurance companies are just not covering it. Or they'll cover it for like the first month, and then once you kind of get in and you're like, oh my God, this stuff's amazing. And I finally feel like a normal person, and I don't feel, like my entire day is consumed with the thought of food and what I'm going to eat and where can I get a snack. You actually feel normal. And then after like that first month, you go to get a refill, and then rug is like grabbed right out from under you, and now your insurance requires a prior authorization, which they're not going to approve. So there are so many people that are desperate for these meds, and a lot of people are scared to go the compounding route just because of things that they've heard. While the compounding route is still fairly expensive. It's more expensive than what your copay, if you were having like a $25 copay, or 40, like in my case, it was $45. It's still more expensive than that, but it is way less than paying out of pocket. Which at the CVS that I go to, they told me it was $1,200, and I was just like, that's a no from me, dog. Okay. So anyway, let me reach down here. I will also, like I said, and I'll probably put some pictures of some of the parts of these articles somewhere or up in here. So common misconceptions about compounding. So technically, compounded drugs are not approved by the FDA, which is the oversight agency responsible for ensuring safe and effective drugs in the United States, but they are overseen by professionals in the pharmaceutical industry. Pharmacy state boards oversee the daily operations of all pharmacies, including compounding pharmacies, which are regulated by the FDA. So in this article, it talks about how like the compounding drugs are not technically, approved by the FDA. So it seems like, and I'm going to see if I can find it and link it down below. I may not be able to, but it seems like a couple of months ago, I was listening to somebody talk about how drugs that are compounded are not FDA approved, and there's a little caveat in there, is where the FDA version is like literally, like if you're getting a compounded version of something that normally comes in a pill, okay, that pill version is FDA approved, okay? So maybe the delivery system that you are getting it in the compound, maybe that delivery system is not part of the FDA approval, but you are still getting that same medicine. So it is still like the myth thing I just had said, these are still medications that are FDA approved. It's the active ingredient, the active approved ingredient, or approved active, you know what I mean, that is still in these medications. And I'm actually going to, I have some really neat information here for you. So to go on with that, it says the idea that compounding pharmacies aren't overseen by federal administration is not accurate. Additionally, under Section 503A of the FDCA, the FDA has some authority over their operations. When you work with a compounding pharmacy, there are oversights in place to patrons. So like I said, there are regulations, there are oversights. It's like, how can you tell what I'm getting? Okay. Well, the FDA ensures that no compounding operation may mislabel or misrepresent compounded medications and their ingredients. Patients are also protected by state boards of pharmacy, which ensure compounded medications are only available with legitimate prescriptions. You still have to have a prescription from a medical professional to get a medicine that is compounded from a compounded pharmacy. They require prescriptions, okay? This also makes me think too, it's like if doctors are prescribing these medicines in compound form, if it's not legal, wouldn't that be, risking their license? Okay, so that's what I'm just saying. It's like you really got to kind of think through some of the things that are being said, because some of it is just completely ridiculous. So let's talk about, are compounded drugs more dangerous? Typically, compounded prescription medications are actually safer for patients as long as they use reputable, licensed compounding operations. While mass-produced pharmaceuticals may not pose any issues to the majority of patients, some patients who might otherwise benefit from taking those drugs cannot for various reasons. Compounding allows patients to take valuable medications in appropriate doses and omits potentially harmful additives, filler substances, dyes, or other substances. So there's a lot of, we all know that sometimes medications have like fillers. But you know what? Some people are allergic to some of these fillers. Some people, can't take a medication because of one of the ingredients in that medication. So compounded pharmacies can take the active ingredients but remove the allergens, remove the fillers, remove any of the dyes, something that somebody might have a sensitivity or an allergy to, and it's a lot more customizable for that patient. So as far as them being more dangerous, no, because you can actually customize it to make sure it's going to be something that your body can handle. So let's actually talk a little bit more about. I know I'm kind of rambling on, and I'm sorry. I hope you're keeping up. I'm super sorry. I know this is kind of going on for like 20 minutes now, but so I was really floored by a lot of information I got from this podcast that it was a podcast vlog that I had seen the other day, and I just really wanted to touch on some of the like main things that they were talking about compounded pharmacies. And this is information that was straight from doctors and actual pharmacists. So compounding pharmacies are guided by standard operating procedures, which are basically systems that they follow on a daily basis. These pharmacies are licensed by their state board of pharmacy, and they must be registered in any state that they ship to. So I know that some of you have probably seen a lot of like these telehealth companies who you can get an appointment with, a nurse practitioner or a physician, and go over your medical history, and they will prescribe a compounded tirzepatide, semaglutide to you, but that pharmacy may not be in the state that you're in. So I know there's a lot of, I know one. For sure, there's a pharmacy that's in Florida that I know ships just all over. Like, so say that particular pharmacy it's actually in Florida, if it ships to Texas, it has to be registered in Texas, okay? And so there's a lot of compounding pharmacies that are registered in like all 50 states. There are some that are registered in 5 or 10 states. There are some that are registered in 20 states. So you have to find one. If you're looking for one, you have to find one that is actually registered in your state. You can't just call like a telehealth company and go through all the things and then find out later that the pharmacy that they use can't even serve you. So there's some research that needs to be done in order to find what's going to be a right fit for you. Moving on. So these compounding pharmacies can be and are inspected by the FDA. Like I said, this is straight from a doctor and a pharmacist that was on this panel. So you do have like state and federal levels of supervision and regulatory authority. So there's people just aren't popping up with these pharmacies willy-nilly and just mixing up stuff and sending it out without any oversight. That's just not true, okay? Then you have what's called, it's USP standards, which is United States Pharmacopoeia standards. This helps to ensure quality in pharmaceutical development and manufacturing. These standards are rigorously tested and evaluated by multiple independent labs, including the USP, which is the United States Pharmacopoeia, commercial, regulatory, and academic labs. So, these, the things that they are making in these compounding pharmacies, they're tested for what they're supposed to be. I mean, they were tested for, I know it said like on the myth thing that I had that, potency, accuracy, sterility, all that stuff is purity. It's all, that stuff is tested to make sure that what they're giving out is what is supposed to be given out. So then you have actual like accreditation entities that recognize pharmacies that basically follow these regulations and have a standardized level of service that includes sound procedures, documentations, and training to ensure consistent performance. So there are a couple of different entities that actually will give these pharmacies like it's like a status. It's like a recognizing them as being a good compounding pharmacy that is following the rules, basically. So there's a lot of regulatory oversight. There's not just pharmacies that are just doing their thing and nobody's watching or making sure that what they're doing is right or illegal or safe. So I mean, they're being monitored, okay? There's also, like I said in the other article, the designation of 503B, which this pharmacist said that these are more regulated and inspected more frequently by the FDA. And he said that these pharmacies with this designation are the ones that are shipping medications, like compounded medications, to actual clinics, like doctor's offices for office use. So let me talk about that for a second. So if you're going to a doctor and they are prescribing you a compounded tirzepatide or semaglutide, but they're injecting you in the office, like you're not taking a vial, you're not getting a vial sent to you with syringes and alcohol wipes and instructions and stuff like that. You're actually going every week to the doctor's office to get injected. Okay, they're not pulling medicine out of a Mounjaro pen or Ozempic pen. They are getting compounded medications from these 503B designated pharmacies. Okay, so they are injecting you with the same thing that you would be getting if you were ordering it from or if you were having it ordered by your telehealth or your practitioner, and it being sent to your home. It's the same thing. Okay. So I think a lot of people are just like, oh, they're just injecting, I'm getting my Mounjaro. It's technically the same, but it's not out of a pen. It's from a compounding pharmacy. And let's talk about where some of these medications kind of come from. So let's talk about compounds during compounding being available during a shortage. Okay, so the FDA controls what can be compounded and when it can be compounded. Okay, so if a drug is on the FDA shortage list, it means that the drug is not readily available. Okay, the FDA then allows compounding pharmacies to make up the shortage difference. Okay, so they just kind of bridge the gap, so to speak. On that. Now, the FDA allows the compounding of an exact copy of whatever drug is on the shortage list. So, right now, the actual medication for like Mounjaro, the medication is not what is in actual shortage, okay? It's the supply chain that's involved with making the delivery systems, the pen. Okay, which this is something that a lot of people know. So like these medicines, okay, the medications can be made in bulk, okay? They can be made in mass, all right? But each of these pens has got to be assembled, created, in a factory. And the ability to get all of these pens made with the supply chain shortage that's going on with the mechanisms and stuff within the pen that actually, the spring-loaded delivery system, like how it shoots the medicine in, all of these components, being not available, it's making it take longer to actually make all these pens with the Mounjaro in it to be labeled, packaged, distributed, right? So, compounding pharmacies are able to use the excess medication, okay, because there's medication that's there waiting to be put in these pens when these pens are made, okay? Compounding pharmacies are able to use the excess medications that are not packaged in the fancy pens, and they're able to distribute those. So, like when Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly say that they themselves are not providing these meds to the compounding pharmacies, they are technically correct, okay? But let's kind of delve into what that really means. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. I have lots of notes. These companies do not make their medications, okay? They may have developed it, researched it, done all this rigorous testing and all these trials and stuff. But when it comes to mass production of the actual liquid medication that goes in these pens, Novo Nordisk doesn't make those. They tend to outsource those to subcontractors that are typically in India and China. Okay? And while these subcontractors are waiting for the drug companies to buy it from them, to put in their pens that they're having trouble getting all together, these subcontractors are selling it to the compound pharmacies, which is allowed by the FDA. Okay? So this doctor on this panel kind of gave this example, and it was really an awesome example, and it made a lot of sense of how like designer handbag factories make designer handbags during the day. Okay, they make these bags, they affix the designer label on the bags. Okay, and then those are shipped out to like these, designer stores. I'm talking like, like the Michael Kors or Louis Vuitton or Prada, or you know what I'm saying, those. Okay, but at night they make those same bags, exact same, but they don't put the designer label on them. Okay, and those are shipped out to, be sold, on the corner or, online or, in places where you can get some pretty great knockoffs. Well, it might actually be the same bag. It's just one is branded and the other is not. Okay, that's the exact same as what's kind of going on here. Okay, you are paying out the wazoo for the branded, Mounjaro, but when you're getting it from a compound pharmacy, you are getting the exact same medication from the exact source that the drug company is getting it from. That's good news. That's good news. And, it really helps people to feel a whole lot better about what they're taking, So, it helps me feel better. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, is it, really sourced from, where it needs to be sourced? It is. Yeah, it's not great that it's sourced out of the country, but whatever. It is what it is. And that's just pretty much how most of the United States drug companies do. They outsource it out of the country. Anyway, so when you hear like negative comments about these compounded pharmacies, or you hear the drug companies that are trying to pretty much like instill fear in people, like we are not giving, this medication to compounding pharmacies. Technically they're telling the truth, but honestly, it's the drug companies that are trying to, manipulate the narrative, okay? They don't want to lose money. They don't want you going to a compounding pharmacy. So yeah, they're going to say what they can to keep you from saving money somewhere else, right? Okay. They're not going to be forthright about their subcontractors that are selling the excess medication that is in abundance, apparently, through other means. They're not going to do it. They're going to say, we didn't provide it. And technically they're correct, but it's the exact same place that they're getting it from. So, it's an effort to make people just not trust the validity or the source of where the compounds are coming from. Even though you're getting the exact same medication, which is, it's a relief, honestly. That's really a lot of what I wanted to kind of talk about, is like how they're, how compounding pharmacies are, how they're regulated, how they do have federal and state oversight and regulations. They're not just willy-nilly cooking up meds. You're not going to have some like random person just, back there mixing stuff. Like, these are actual pharmacists that have got sometimes decades of credentials and experience. And in fact, when you're looking for a legit, reputable pharmacy, you need to look at like who is running that place, who are the pharmacists in this place. Look at their credentials. The one that mine is coming from, I looked up all these pharmacists, and it's just ridiculous amounts of like experience, and people who are like presidents of like pharmaceutical boards in the state and blah blah. It's not just some average tech back there just doing their thing. These people have tons of experience. They have tons of education. They have just, like I said, the credentials list is just ridiculous. And this information should be readily available to you. Like, who is compounding these medications for you? If you can't find anything about who works there, who are the pharmacists there, and like where they got their education and what kind of experience they have, you might need to just kind of maybe look at someplace else that is, maybe a little bit more reputable. Just do your homework. And you should be fine. Also, I did want to kind of talk about, so the compounding pharmacy, or the compounding medications, I'm actually really happy about the fact that I'm going to be able to, I can adjust my dose if I need to. Well, right now I'm doing really good on the 5 milligram. Okay. I'm doing really good on the 5 milligram. And for right now, I'd like to stay on the 5 milligram. And so when I get my vial, the entire vial is going to have 60 milligrams of medication in it. Okay. And as it's listed on there, it has like a titration schedule that it will last, 12 weeks. If you do 4 weeks of 2.5, 4 weeks of 5, and then 4 weeks of 7.5, that will last you 12 weeks, okay? That all equals to 60 milligrams, okay? But if you just do 5 across the board for the entire 12 weeks, that also equals to 60 milligrams. So, and what's really neat about this too, and not having to like go in someplace like every week to get a shot, is if I want to extend this to every 10 days instead of like every 7, I can make this last longer than 12 weeks, okay, which is something that I really like about that. And I'm doing currently okay on going 10 days. I'm probably going to have to go maybe a tiny bit longer, like on my last 2 shots, to, get to wait until my compound gets here, which is fine. I think I'll do okay. And honestly, it's like, if we can't extend that for 3 days and not show some control, what are we going to do if we can't get this medicine anymore? Like, what are we going to do? This is an opportunity, like so many people have said, this medicine is a tool, and it's an opportunity to take this time to learn better habits and make them where they are going to work for us. If you want to completely eliminate all of your trigger foods, and you can do that, that's great. But some people cannot do that. If you still allow yourself like some of these things in tiny bits of moderation, that way you are not depriving yourself, okay, then some of these habits will stick longer, and you'll have longer success if you are having to come off the medicine. Which, I hope that none of us that are on it have to ever come off, if we don't want to. But, the reality is that, sometimes things happen. And if I can't show restraint for like 3, 5, 7 more days, then I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to make it. I've got to be able to ingrain new habits into my daily schedule that is going to keep me from like overeating or binging or things of that nature that got me into this problem in the first place of being obese. So anyway, let me say, okay, so if you look at 12 weeks, okay, that is 84 days. All right. That is how long that 60 milligrams will last. Okay. If I take it every 7 days. Okay. But let's say I want to do it every 10 days. Okay. I do the 5 milligrams every 10 days. Okay. It will normally last me 12 weeks at every 7 days. But if I extend that to every 10 days, it will last me 17 weeks. 17.14 to be exact. Okay. Look, I sat and did all the math. Okay. So 12 doses. Okay. That's what it's supposed to be in there. It's supposed to be 12 weekly doses. But if I take those 12 doses and instead of once a week, I do it every 10 days, 12 times 10 is 120 days, correct? Yes. That is 17.14 weeks. If I extend it to 10 days. Okay. That is 5 more weeks that I can get from this compound, from this vial. Okay, that's insane. Now, am I saying this is something you should do? Oh, no, 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 no. I'm not a doctor. You need to talk to your doctor about that. I'm telling you what I'm going to do, and just what is going to, like, on my agenda personally. So, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a pharmacist. This is something you need to discuss with your doctor. Full disclaimer, this is not something I am suggesting. I'm just telling you what I'm going to do. Okay. And I'm just kind of giving you the information. So even if 10 days is just really not going to cut it, and I want to do like every 9 days, okay, 12 doses at every 9 days, that is 108 days, and that is still 15.42 weeks. So I'm not going to have any problems extending this. I think, I do think even if I have to like go up in dose, I can still extend it by, instead of every 7 days, going like every 10. And I can make it last a little bit longer than what it normally would. So that equals it being more cost effective on my end. So, I'm currently doing good every 10 days. So this is something that I am actually going to do. And plus, being that it takes like 4 weeks to get in, this will kind of help financially. Instead of having to like order sooner, I might can wait another extra week or so before I have to order. So yeah, so I'm thinking that this is a really great. This is a great plan for me. Like I said, might not be a plan for you. You need to talk to your doctor about that, or your practitioner, or whoever is your prescribing professional. But if you are in Texas, and I will put the prices and stuff down below. If you are in Texas, the place that I went with was called Whitehouse Family Medical. They are in Whitehouse, Texas. And they are a legit clinic. They're like a family practice clinic who also does like this weight management stuff. And their prices are literally the best that I have seen anywhere for both semaglutide and tirzepatide. And yes, it takes 4 weeks to get it, but I think with the prices, it's worth it. Give these people a call because it's super easy, super quick to get like a telehealth visit scheduled. And also, if you wouldn't, I mentioned this in my last video, they have a little section, like if you call these people, and I'm going to have all their information down in the description box below. If you call, or if you get online and you start like an intake form to get an appointment and stuff, it will ask you, did anybody refer you? Please put my name. Please put Courtney Mills down there, because they will, if I refer anybody and those people, call and make an appointment and stuff, they will send out like 10 units, which is the tiny amount, 10 units of semaglutide. But like I said, if you put my name down that I referred you, you can refer like all your friends and family and get the same benefit. So so we can all win. Okay. So if you would do that for me, that would be really awesome. And let me know if you contact them and get you an appointment, because they were really awesome. The nurse that I talked to was super nice and just really efficient and wanting to kind of know my history and how I was feeling and everything. And so it was a really great experience all around. So yeah, they'd just be like 100% perfect if it didn't take 4 weeks to get the medicine, but whatever. So anyhow, that's pretty much it for today. I just wanted to really just kind of get down into the nitty gritty about compounding pharmacies. And I know this has run super long. If you are still here, I really appreciate it. You are a rock star. And comment down below if you actually watched the whole video. That'd be amazing. So anyway, guys, I will continue to update on what is going on with my weight. It looks like I am still going down. I think I lost another 2 pounds. So things are going great. And I will continue to update you on everything. And if I hear anything else on this compound or get, you know, an update on my fill, my prescription and stuff, I will let you know. And other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.